do is that they look like us. When that stuff with that director Miranda, who did Hamilton, when he had that show The Heights, and they were complaining about, well, why aren't Afro Latinos represented, since they make up a good portion of Washington Heights? Why aren't they being represented? It was Black Americans who were advocating for that more so than Afro Latinos. So that's still the culture, the reference that I still work through. I'm pro-Black, and that I want Black people to be successful. I want Black people marrying Black people, having Black families, having Black success in all sectors and areas of society. I still advocate for that. And I will work with anyone who is of like mind for that. But if you want to be Nigerian, if you want to be Jamaican, if you want to be Haitian or whatever, then be my guest. But when I talk about Black issues, I want to talk to Black people. And I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your percentage of melanation is. You can be 15%, 51%, 80%, whatever it is. I'm 18% Caucasian according to my genetics test. But that doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? It's about us coming together for common cause. Let's do some things that really advance us, and let's, do the things that's best about us, and let's promote those things in a positive way in our communities. So that's how I've always approached it.
All right, so let me get this out of the way. My man DL Saint, he came in there and gave a 10 bar. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Right. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. We had a couple other people that came in here. We were my girl, Lady Navoa. We got Tay Weezy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got who else? It was somebody else I said. Oh, Grooming and Reviews. What's going on? The Greek Freak. What's popping with you, man? He said it's not from come on, man. You have to get better than that. Grooming and Reviews. It's not from the white man. It comes from the rich man. Keep us under I guess he was saying up under their control. Yep, up under their control. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming. Hey, Black man, did you put the link in the chat, or did you just?
No. Everybody got it individually. You let me when you want to drop it, you can drop it.
Okay. I want to also welcome my man, Information Man in the building.
Yes, sir.
What's up? What's up, everybody?
It's good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you all too. I just want to let everybody know, because I connected it to my channel, my audience coming over. This is on Black Man Unfiltered's channel. So StreamYards allows you to connect your streams dually with other people's channels. So yes, everybody that's coming in, make sure you subscribe and check out Black Man Unfiltered Network, what he's got going on here and everything like that. Okay, appreciate Black Man Unfiltered Network. Check them out, everybody. I had some things that I wanted to say about the reparations issue, because I'm kind of close to that here in California. I have a problem with people who talk about reparations but don't have any skin in the game. I've been involved in the reparations movement in California, and I know some of the players that are involved. Okay. I'm also getting to a point where I'm sick of people constantly repeating the same rhetoric. Black people repeat the same rhetoric. Oh, if you give Black people money, they're going to blow it. Look, you give white people money, they blow it too. Guess what they blow? They blow the goddamn economy. Look at what happened in Silicon Valley. See, don't nobody have nothing to say when white folks open up banks, blow lots of money, and make your mortgage go under, like they did in 2008 and 9. White folks be blowing money all day long, but nobody talks about that when it comes to Black people. Oh, if you give us something, we gonna blow it all the way. Because that, to me, is a part of our psyche, our self-hate psyche. We never want to see anything positive for ourselves. Of course, there's going to be a percentage of Black people who know how to manage their money. There's going to be a percentage of Black people who don't know how to manage their money, just like white folks who go broke too and bankrupt the goddamn country. Have y'all forgotten about that? Okay, we in a goddamn deficit. Who runs this motherfucker? White folks. And we in a deep deficit with China. So that's why I don't want to hear this talk about what black people going to do with their money. Don't worry about what they're going to worry about what you going to do with your money and how you can make it best for your community. There are going to be black folks that's going to blow money. We know that. So tell me something that I don't know. But is anybody saying that about Native Americans who get billions of dollars from this government like every year? Or don't give me this question about, well, there's no money. Do you know that this country spends more money? Because I've done the research, okay? This country spends more money on foreign aid, like giving the Ukrainians $8 billion and military and every damn thing else. The amount that they would owe black people in calculation is nothing compared to what they give out in annual foreign aid and also what they're giving to Native Americans every damn year. They gave Native Americans money. They come from a poor background. Nobody's saying that they're going to blow the money on their casinos and make their casinos go out of business. That's foolishness. I think Saint was right. Black people need, I understand. Black people, we need exemption, I believe, from paying taxes. We need exemption from having to pay for college. I think we need land. That's a form of reparation. Land is very important, right? I said that earlier. So we need land. I think we should put it into educational programs that can help our youth, young people, and people. We should put it into programs that allow black folks, men and women, to get loans that they need to open up a business. All right. So whether it comes in a form of a check or some type of program, I get where you all are saying. But the problem I have with that is that this country has never had a problem with cutting checks for other people who don't look like us. And nobody complains about these checks. Oh, let me not tell you how much money Israel still gets.
Right.
And nobody complains about what they're doing with their money. Right. So I think you're going to have what's the biggest problem that black people have? We don't have generational wealth. A lot of things that we struggle with is the ability to have resources. This would give a lot of black people, it would take us out of a lot of a problem, such as resources for proper health, right? Housing, what have you. There's going to be a percentage of us that are going to do the right thing with our money. We can also have brothers that can educate us, right? We have people that can educate us on managing. You're always going to have the low-hanging fruit of people who going to do goofy things with their money. Look at all the lottery winners. A lot of them be white folks, Asian folks, they blow their money. So it will happen. My question is, do we deserve reparations? Every other group in America has gotten something, whether it be the Japanese. Even if the Japanese only got like what, $20,000 or $30,000, they still got, that's $30,000 and $40,000 more than black people ever got in this country. So remember, in California and across this country, black men and women had land stolen. Think about the 40 acres and a mule. If black folks would have got that 40 acres and a mule, especially in Texas, we would have a lot of black million and billionaires right now who would have been sitting on land that has oil under it.
Yes.
Why? That's why land is important. So we don't have the generational wealth, unfortunately, and we need to. This country owes us, I look at it as a debt. It is a debt that they owe to our ancestors, and we are the benefactors of our ancestors. This country doesn't want to do anything when it comes to something for black folks. Look what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The young sister, I call her young, she's 100 years old, last survivor of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. They went before the courts there to petition for the reparations that they should have gotten. And Sister Fletcher, what did they do? They don't want to give them the money. They don't want to give them reparations. Biden goes out there and does all that symbolism, but no reparations in hand. So when people say, well, how are we going to prove it? We got lots of research, case studies that prove out where black people got ripped off in this country. Now, I don't want to hear this thing about, well, how are we going to prove y'all taking DNA tests? Ain't nobody complaining about, oh, I took a DNA test and it says I got 20% European, and y'all get happy when y'all find out y'all got some European in you or anything that's black. But all of a sudden y'all say, when it comes to black people proving our lineage, oh, how we gonna do it? You know how to find out whether you got some damn Spanish in your blood. Let's stop bullshitting around. There's the African DNA. There's plenty of ways to identify people. Okay? Because remember, they kept plenty of records. My family, my mom, my father, we did extensive research. It's out there. I think people just get too lazy and they don't want to do the research and they just want, shit to fall in their hands. We have to work towards anything that we feel we're worth getting. Now, do I expect the government to just drop it in our lap tomorrow? No. That doesn't mean that we can't ride a bike and chew gum and still do what? Get education, get jobs. We can't just say, well, I'm just going to sit back and wait for it may not never happen, but we can still do what we're supposed to do while we still rally for it. And even if we don't get it, it doesn't change the fact that we still do what we're supposed to do. I look at reparations for the future generations. I don't expect to get it in my hands. I'm hoping that it gets in the hands of my future generations of children. Just like our ancestors fought for our asses to be able to sit up here on YouTube and wax poetically. That's where I'm at with it, gentlemen.
Excellent.
That was brilliant. I don't know what happened to JT, but brother information man, I'm with you on that. And because when we had this conversation, that's always the first thing out my mouth. I'm like, you just write a check a lot of black people gonna lose the money. But for me, it's implied because I look at the class issue as well. Again,
Yes,
Americans' version of racism is unlike anything I've ever seen on the planet. We have a caste system within our racist system. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, how do we do this? And it's like marriage, politics, and sports was saying, the tax reparations to me seem like the biggest incentive to, first of all, to settle this the way it should be settled. And secondly, to incentivize us to go out there and work. If someone say, I'm gonna give you a check for $2 million, right? You gonna go out there and work? Maybe not until the money run out. But if I tell you every dime you earn is tax-free, is your money, that whole check, I mean, shit, I'm gonna go out there and get as many jobs as I can. I want to get as much money as I can coming in because it's tax-free.
Right. I think you're, and Mr. Bennett, you couldn't have, I agree with everything you just said, brother. Mr. Bennett, you couldn't have never said it any better than what you said. It's 100% correct. Black people from the other parts of the world, when they come over here, they identify themselves by their tribe, their geographical location, their culture. They'll say in a minute, I'm Nigerian. And I think black people in America, you know this already, I don't think we've ever defined a identity for ourselves because it's always been defined by others. Like,
Right.
like in the history, remember they called black men boy, you a boy. Other people are always trying to define who we are. We should be
Right.
defining ourselves.
And again, that's why, like I said, for me, black was so powerful because I think that was one of the first times where we took on. When James Brown said, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first times we started taking ownership over our identity. And for the other peoples who were there, who were here, I think they all adopted that at some point. Like I said, if you came from Nigeria, for example, in the 80s or the 70s or whatever, obviously you didn't have a lot of people who were from your tribe or country or whatever. So you just went automatically. So it was like by necessity, folks gathered together out of necessity to do things. But like I said, I think in recent years, now that these communities have grown, just like other communities now, I mean, you have whole populations in America that are totally ethnic. Like, you go to Miami, like, you don't have to know English in a lot of parts of the country because these populations are so big. And in New York, you got Brighton Beach where, you don't have to know English. You can speak Russian because there's so much business and just the cultures that have been built up that you don't, have to necessarily become Americanized or what they call, blend in or whatever into America. You can be your ethnic self.
Right. But as well as I know, Brother Bennett, that language unifies people. These other groups come over here and they've got a language and they've got an actual destination of where they came from and they can identify back to the old country.
Right.
Black people in America, let's be honest, we don't have any other country outside of America backing our
Right.
play.
Right.
And we really don't have what I would call a language that identifies us to another location or place.
That's
We've
right.
actually just created our own little way that we talk,
right.
right? Through our
Yeah.
music, our hip hop, right? Our jazz. So Black people had to create their own expression in America based on the climate that what we were going through. Am I
Right.
correct or wrong?
Yes, and that's the part that, especially like I said, for my daughters,
Mhm.
I wanted them to embrace that your past, your lineage is part of the fabric that actually built the country. So embrace the fact that you're ADOS, because again, you would get around some of these groups that, oh well, Black Americans have no culture. I mean, and you even have Americans saying that, you know. And again, I know, especially with where hip hop culture has gone from where it started and whatnot, certainly there's a lot of things to be critical about in the culture. But the idea that we don't have a culture has been something that I think has plagued a lot of younger millennials in Zers, especially from these people who come from these other cultures and whatnot. So again, part of my goal was to have my daughters to be proud of who they came from, the ancestors that came before them, the ones who built the country, who protested, who marched, who went through the sacrifice, your grandparents who went through the voting and the poll taxes, all the things that they overcame so that you can have. Embrace that as your culture. Embrace that as part of your lineage. Is something to be proud of, and don't feel less than because you don't speak Swahili or whatever the language is or whatever. No, I mean, what we've had to overcome here, being, again, and Bernard said, we're the only ones. Think of any other culture in the world. We're the only ones where we were enslaved for 400, and then we were a minority in the country living next to our former slave masters for that time. And yet we've been able to overcome so much. Take pride in that. Be proud of that. And use that as a platform to launch forward to do even greater things because of what's already been overcome for you. So again, the ADOS thing for me I know a lot of it started with reparations, but it wasn't even about reparations for me. It was about really having my kids being able to say, look, I am American, I am proud, I'm African American, I'm ADOS, whatever you want to call yourselves, but take pride in that, the people that you come from. More so than whether we get reparations or not, which I'm with you. I'm all for it and advocating for it. But to have an ethnicity in this time, I think is more important for my kids than it was for us, because Black was just the thing. That was the umbrella. That was, everybody was partying under that same umbrella. Now everyone's setting up their own umbrellas elsewhere, and it's not what it was back certainly not back in my college years.
So that's what I actually wanted to hone in on when it comes down to moving forward, right? Because one of the things that I've noticed on a lot of platforms, and even just in general, when Black folks have conversations, they end up being, and I understand they're circular, because nothing is linear when it comes down to this, because we it's not that we just going to arrive and everything is going to be hunky-dory. But from my observation, what I see in my 51 years on this earth is that it seems that as Black folks in America, that it's starting, our pride in being Black Americans is declining instead of what was set out for the I'm Black and I'm proud, the ADOS, all these different things. It seems like no one is actually taking pride. And it goes to what you said, Mr. Bennett. I gotta agree with the information man. You put that beautifully, bro. I commend you, brother, on that, because that's where it was at with me, where I'm like, I'm starting to be, the more I know, the more confusing it's starting to be for me. And that's weird for me. It's starting to be even more confusing. So one of the things that I have put up, and I'm glad that you had started it off, is I wanted to know from you brothers, and we're going to start with Trey Ferg. What is being Black in America to yourself? What is that? What is being Black? Wait, before you do that, Trey, before you do that, I don't know. Oh yeah, I did. I don't know if my co-host wanted to put something out there right now first, and then we'll go to you. We're going. That's who we'll start with. We'll start with my man.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm gonna let everybody say what they got to say, because what I'm gonna say is gonna upset the apple cart, and it's gonna cause a reset of the conversation. And I want to make sure that they go ahead and get what they have to say out of the way. So, Trey, if you don't mind, I would love for you to go ahead and go first, sir.
First of all, I just want to say thank y'all for bringing me up. Thanks to everybody here, man. You know, I love to get to these band spaces and talk man stuff. JT, ask me that question one more time, if you don't mind.
What is being black in America? What is that to you, being black in America?
To me, I go back a little further than, you know, the come together moment with James Brown's. I take it back to when I was a baby and coming into the world doing the Nation of Islam and Brother Malcolm and his plight to give us some form of identity. What, you know, it didn't get to come to fruition, but he was trying to give us a sense of pride about who we are. And then growing up as Muhammad Ali is one of my idols and the things he stood for, you know, black, I'm light skinned, but only thing make me different from y'all is my complexion. We all got the same big noses, big lips, big fat feet, big hands, big shoulders. That's a man to me. That's a black man to me. I mean, being black is one of the greatest things I took with me around the world. You know, I always stood proud as being a brother. Even when I went through my transformation, getting out of the military, you know, now I got to go bald. That made me even more proud when I realized the ladies loved it. So, you know, being black to me is just, it just goes deeper than my skin complexion. I pride myself on being the respectful guy, the guy that's going to show a little empathy, a little sympathy, helping those that are in need of help, looking at things from a real point of view. I don't judge people on, you know, just anything. I look at it how you treat me, how you treat people around me. And that's been my plight throughout my life, to get even our young, it's like our younger generation, they struggle with their identity early. They struggle with it early, and you can see it throughout the adulthood, because I didn't see a lot of us going from being boys to flipping over to the, I didn't see a lot of dudes going on the football field, then halfway through the season, they on the cheerleading team. I just didn't see it. They was already there when they start coming to these spaces. So it's just unique, and it's scary to me going forward, because they're now pushing a narrative, just let everything flow. Just let everything be a rainbow. Everything's a rainbow. You know, and I think, man, it's a great opportunity now to just sort of try to solidify our space in this millennial going forward, because without us, man, standing up for each other, even for the community, because a lot of times we standing up for the community, putting our lives on the line for the community. So I just think that for me, again, it's just more of continuing to just be the best man as I live out the rest of my great years. Like I said, I'm living a great life, man. I'm 55. I don't work for nobody. I ain't working again. I don't have to. My children, everything is good. Whatever they do when I'm gone, they're going to have to figure that out. Other than that, I'm going to be here, man. So that's just me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Information man, same question.
I just wanted to say thank you to the Saint for the $10 super chat, brother.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you for that.
Man, please make
Let me give you that.
information is power.
All right. Thank you for that super chat.
While you're doing that, hold on. Let me go ahead and put the other man out there, my man, Mr. Arpain. Mr. Arpain also did a $10 super chat. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate everything that you've contribute to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I appreciate you.
Comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Once again, thank you. Thank you.
Let me just say, everybody in my chat room, I'm on the Black Men Unfiltered Network on his channel. So make sure you subscribe to his channel. StreamYards allows you to connect streams to, so that's what's happening tonight. I think when I look at blackness, I recognize that every day that I wake up from sleep, that God blesses me to wake up from sleep, that I go outside, there's a lot of things in society and in the world that reminds me of who I am as a black man. How I walk, how I talk, my spirit, my energy. And I'm very proud to be a black man. It means a lot to me because we are walking examples and living reflections of our ancestors. So I feel like through my veins, through my blood, through my body, I'm carrying a long legacy. So I was very proud. I mean, when I was one of the first people in my family to go on to college, I'm very proud of my accomplishments in life. And so, because I know that my ancestors are smiling down at me, I know that as a black man, I have a great responsibility as an example, because you know that there's stereotypes about us, how people look at us. So I feel like we have a lot of responsibility to leave a legacy that's been left to us, but to leave a better legacy to our children, to our sons, to our daughters, based on how we move, how we talk, how we think, our ability to think critically, our ability to tell our kids, no matter what people say about you, you are great. Because I remember a time when you went to school, they would try to demonize and try to make it seem like black people couldn't accomplish anything. So I think we have more than any other group in the world and in this country, we have so much on our shoulders, so much that's expected of us, right? When we come from out of our families, because once again, the legacy is right on our shoulders to carry. So I think blackness is not only just your skin tone, but I think blackness is the universe, right? Melanin. What do y'all know about melanin, right? You know that the universe was created by melanin, black holes. So there's something very cosmic about being a black person, about being a black man, in my opinion, something divine to it. I'll stop there.
All right, all right. Hey, I'd like to welcome my man, Mr. Ricky, Uncle Ricky, and with the column. What's going on, Tom?
What's going on, Ricky?
You on mute, bro.
Ricky, get yourself on mute, brother.
Oh, peace, my brothers. Peace to the gods and goddess. How y'all doing? My apologies for being late, man. I had to read. I had to put some education out there. So, what was the question so I can answer accordingly, please?
Okay, the question is, what is being black in America?
Thinking you free and you still a slave but just don't know it.
What do you think that being black should be something that we should be proud of in America?
No. I wish we stopped using it. I wish we stopped calling ourselves black. You're not black. Black is a political standing. It's a name and a category that is thrust upon you to take away your God-given rights, the rights that were provided to you by the Most High. Most black people don't even know that. You're not black. You're not African American. There's no African American flag.
Mm-hmm.
You're an American. You were born here on the same lands that your forefathers were. You know, the Cherokees, the Navajos. They stole our land from right up under us, and nobody knows about it. It's the reason why. That's the reason why they only have why they only have 2 states with cities with American names. You know, New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago is not an American name city. Neither is Mississippi nor Louisiana.
Yeah, it's Native American names.
Milwaukee. See, what black folks don't know is that everyone, and I'm gonna say this again, people don't understand, right? It is not physically possible to ship how many slaves they said in that amount of time. What is easier business wise? I need y'all to. How many of you guys deal with business on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah,
I do.
All right, so let's put it in a money. Let's put it in a money game. What's cheaper? Is it cheaper to export? Not today, but back then. Was it cheaper to export slaves, which means you're going to lose some slaves? You have to pay for transport. You have to pay for boats. We all know these required loans from the royal families, correct?
yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Right? They said millions of black people were transported. Or is it easy to come over to pay off people who really don't know the worth or value of the money or funds, trinkets, blankets, jewels, and take over the indigenous population and make them slaves? Business, of course, because you're a woman, and again, you fall under the deceptions of what the white men teach you. How many of y'all? How many of y'all grandparents told y'all got Indian in y'all family?
A whole
No, I
bunch.
do.
Oh, absolutely.
My great grandmother she actually has a tribe. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Hey,
Hold
Uncle
on. Let me finish. Let me
go
explain.
ahead.
I got you right.
Go
Right.
ahead, brother.
And this is how crazy our people is to not realize this. When you look at the so-called Native Americans, the $5 Indians, right, that have their reservations, do they not get a stipend of money every month if you're part of their nation or tribe?
Yep.
Don't they get a recoup from the casinos that's allowed to be on their land?
Tax free.
Can a cop of the state go on a reservation and arrest an Indian?
Nope.
That's the treaty we were supposed to be under. But y'all okay with being black?
Well, then let me ask this question, because you're talking to a brother. I'm listening to you talk. I'm a brother that's a descendant of freemen. And you do know that there were Native American tribes that enslaved some black people in the South, especially Cherokee, because black people like to always pull Cherokee out their ass. They were heavily involved in bounty hunting us. Now, I agree with you, brother, that we have a lot of history that we need to learn and that we're blind to. But this what bothers me about people who talk about we're Native American, that narrative. Most of the people who say that, when the hell are you going to unite? If the Native Americans are the ones that we think are Native American that are $5, like you say, $5, if they're getting money from the government right now and they're getting casinos, whatever we want to call it, why don't us black folks who get on these YouTube streets and talk about, I'm Native American, we got this, we're this. When are we going to collectively come together on code to get what is rightfully ours, such as the very benefits that these other so-called Native Americans are getting that they're calling Native Americans? When are we going to do that? We do a lot of talking about what we think we are. If we know we that, then what the hell are we doing about trying to get such benefits that are due us if we are the original Native Americans? What are we doing?
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, because I hear Dan, I'm just saying, I hear Dan Colloway talking about this. I hear what you're saying. You're making powerful statements here. But I just wish that if we have all this wealth of information, and when are we going to take it to the courts? When are we going to do the very thing that we call the so-called Indians that they have done to get to be called their own nation? Because they had to do something to get that status.
Okay. So again, you asking a person of one to move a nation of many. Most people don't even believe that they're Native American. You got to believe it first, correct?
Right. But brother, there's a whole movement in black YouTube in particular. I've been on these streets for a long time, brother. There's a big movement that wraps
this-
around
this-
Dan Calloway, where you have black people that call themselves
it's not-
Aborigine, which is really the Aborigine in Australia, those black folks in Australia who are saying, hey, we're Native American, we got the claim, we can claim it. But I never see anybody in these movements. I'm not saying you as an individual, but I never see people in these movements push it forward to be recognized and to show, hey, we are the real. I don't see people doing that.
That's a great point. But again,
that's all I'm saying. I'm not indicting you.
No, it's not. It's not about indicting. I'm just answering your question. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The point is that the first thing you have to do to go through any cause is to believe that that's what you are.
That's true.
I can't convince anybody of my ideals. I know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But for us to sit up here and believe that, listen to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I've corrected my status.
Yes, sir.
Right. So I know what it takes. I understand what it is. Right. So again, we can't go as a nation because, like people in the chat and people all around the world, not just YouTube, especially, I ain't gonna say the world, but in North America, how can you convince them to go into a movement where they don't even believe that this is their country? When they believe they're from Africa. When a Nigerian moves over here, and this is just me explaining how it works out. Right. When a Nigerian moves over here, he doesn't become an American. He's a person from Nigeria.
True.
He's a person from Somalia.
Right.
We claim. Listen to what I'm saying, bro. And I don't mean to cut you off. I just like to finish my point. Right.
Here, I'm sorry.
So
go ahead.
So again, when I have these talk with people in my cipher, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even convince them to understand that African American isn't a nation within itself, because our people are so brainwashed by what they've been taught. And I hear what you're saying. Now, me, I'm a pessimist. All my brothers know. My brothers up here know I'm a pessimist, right? I believe it's over. That's why I believe in independence. You take care of your family, build a foundation, and get ready for whatever's coming. Because the problem is that because you don't believe and think how I think, and I don't believe how you think, us as black men, we can't come together simply because our ideals don't align. So the truth is, everybody talking about this, let's save everybody. For once, I got to be able to trust you with my family, and you got to be able to trust me with yours.
Mm-hmm.
When is that happening anywhere in the black community?
Well, can I ask you this? Well, let me just say this. We have to define what black communities we're talking about, because black people are not monolithic. We don't all think alike. We don't have the same economic circumstances. There are various black communities in this world or in this country we call North America or America, where black people have different experiences, different backgrounds, as well as economics. So where there is some form of unification amongst those black people within those cliques. Let's just keep it real.
I totally agree with that.
Now, what I was going to say to what you had said earlier too, brother, is that we should never, this is just my opinion, I don't think we should compare ourselves, and I'm not saying that you said that though, to other black people that come from other parts of the diaspora. You know why? Because they come over here with their culture intact. They know their name, they know their language, they know their tribe, they know the history, in some cases, of their family line. Black people, going to agree with your point, black people in America, for the most part, unfortunately, we are brainwashed to a certain degree under this North American hell we've been in, where we had our culture and who we really are stripped of us, right? No other people have been told, if you read, we'll kill you, right? So our experience is different, which is why it's not really fair to make a comparison like that. Just my opinion.
We're all entitled to our opinions, good sir.
I want to get my boy DL up in here, man. What do you think, man? Same question, and you can expand on what the brothers was talking, whatever you want to go within that confines, brother.
All right. this is why I wanted to jump on. You know, when I saw the title, you can line up 1,000 brothers and sisters and ask them what it means to be black, and you're gonna get 1,000 different answers, right? I mean, that's just the way it boils down. You feel me? For me, you know, and I'll use black all the time because I've been to Africa, man. I'm here to tell you I'm not a fan. You know what I mean? My ancestors may have been from there, but after we got here, you know, my lineage were all American. You know, I'm a soldier. That flag on the wall is just not decoration. I'm airborne. I've been to war for the very country that oppressed my family. You know what I mean? My ancestors. I go out there and proudly serve to put my life on the line for this country. Why? I've been around the world. You know, I'm here to tell you. Say what you want about America. I don't see anybody leaving. You know what I mean? I've been to the Middle East. You know, everybody's talking about Gaza and Palestine right now and what's going on over there. You know what I mean? What's going on in Egypt? I've been to Egypt. You know, people talk about all these different things. I've been to the Far East. I'm here to tell you, every place is messed up. I'm cool right here in America, right? And it's for one big reason, because I got a right to have as many of these as I can get my hands on. Right. So, and I got the training and I'm ready. But what does it mean to be black for me in America? It means that I chose to be a fighter. Right. I chose to stand up, like what Brother Black Man was saying early on in this stream. There are people to this day who will look down at the road and not, you know, when some white folks come, they won't say anything when white folks come, bro. I'm from Cincinnati. You can ask JT. We don't do that. It's the other way around. You know what I mean? Like I tell folks all the time, like white people come in, they cross the street when they see us coming. Now, a lot of times people are like, man, that's just racism. I'm like, man, it might be from my area, bro. Because they know we just might do something to them. Right? Because that anger is in there. And it goes also to what Black Man was saying, because that's that trauma that's been passed down. We're not pacifists in my bloodline. We're warriors. You know what I mean? A lot of us ain't here now, but you know what? They fought the good fight, went down swinging. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So what does it mean for me to be a black man? It means that I come from I'm trying to keep it clean. I don't want to use the colorful words, but not everyone can do it. When I look at my white counterparts, and there's people I done met in my travels, I'm in my 50s. And, I sit down and they're always like, man, you're so strong. And I can't believe you managed to get through that. And I can't believe this and that. It's like, this is nothing compared to what I was born into, and I look at a lot of my white counterparts out there. They can't do what we have done. You know what I mean? We got a long way to go. Absolutely. But for me, that's the pride that I hold. You know what I mean? Because if you bring the drama to me, you're going to get it. I'll be nice and happy and wear my tie and everything. I'm in the house. I'm in the attic right now, sitting here on YouTube. When I go outside, I look a certain way. Can't believe, oh man, you're wearing a suit. You look good. You know what I mean? Oh my God. I'm like, yeah. Gangsters wear suits, bro. Know your history. You know what I mean? Know who you dealing with, homie. So, and I understand American racism, but I also understand the 1% a little bit. And I also understand that the power that lies within the financial power that the black community wields to this day. A lot of our problems are our own problems. Look at all the money we spend versus our percentage, of the country. Like we're a very small percentage of the country, but where do we rank as far as GDP? Like, look at that. What are we doing? Right. And, we can point to all sorts of stuff. I point to the educational system and I point to in the mirror. It's our fault, right? It's our fault. We don't own property because of my grandparents and then my grandparents, they all own property. Then you get down to our generations, nobody own nothing. And there's tons of government programs out there. Like we were talking about reparations. I would love to get my hands on some form of reparations. Personally, I would like the tax breaks, but if we're going to just cut a check, fine. I know what to do with that. And I will hope that, I can guide my daughter so where she would use hers properly and set it up for generational stuff. And that's great. But, it is what it is, man. Most people, white, black, Latin, Italian, Polish, whatever, most people in America are broke today. It's a very large percent. Who in America today can handle an unexpected expense of $500 without having to put it on some sort of credit or rob somebody to get the money, right? It's not just a black problem. That's the brother Information's point. He's like, I love the message he puts out. You know what I mean? It's money ain't gonna solve it all. you know, and we just can't point to the schools, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Like, everybody's talking about how men ain't men anymore and women are, you know, too masculine, men are too feminine. That came out of our homes.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That's we got to own up a little bit for that. So to me, what it means to be black is to be a warrior, to be a survivor, to be a leader. You notice whenever I send out super chats and stuff like that, you know what I mean? I tend to end it with keep leading from the front because it's hard. It's hard being up front dealing with this. We all know on YouTube, I'm shadow banned, I'm sure. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure everybody up here get a little taste of that too. Why?
Yeah.
We're leading from the front. So to me, what it means to be black is to be strong. What it means to be black is to be proud. What it means to be black is to drive forward, to push forward, even though I don't have a heritage. Like once they stole us, you know what I mean, from over there, and I say stole, what I really mean to say is once our ancestors sold our people into this bondage, right? It's not like the Africans. Don't let Woman King fool you. That movie was complete bullshit. You know what I mean? Don't let it fool you for a second, right? It was the British were trying to stop the Africans from selling other Africans into the slave trade.
I've seen your breakdown on that too, bro.
Yeah, hey man, look, don't be fooled by that. You know, understand like what everybody is saying here. Like, go out here, learn your history. Learn history for what it is. It's ugly. Learn it. Figure out how all these Native Americans got what they want, and also realize that the vast majority of Native American tribes do not exist anymore. Man, genocide, they were eradicated. The vast majority. Go out there and look at how many Native American tribes there were in America back then compared to what they have now. You know, and the last thing I'll say, and I'll sit down and shut up. Last thing I'll say is this: America is run by our political system, which is fueled by money. We got enough money to drive this GDP any way we want to drive it as a community, but we don't want to put a dime into the political system, right? Just imagine what we could do as a people in America if we would just focus just 2 to 5% of our money towards politics. Get mad at the, small hat people if you want to. Get mad at Native Americans if you want to. Get mad at the quote unquote regular white folks. We call all people, they call them all white. They could be anything. It could be Italian. They could be Hungarian. They could be whatever. Get mad at the Asians if you want to. But guess what they do? They invest in the political system and they are getting their money back, right? They're getting a return. How come we're not doing that? That's my big question. But what it is to be black to me is to be a warrior, is to be strong. I'm the guy that stands there. I'm gonna look you dead in your eye. I don't care who you are. You come see me, I'm gonna come look in your eye. How you doing? I see you. I see you in the chat. You see when I chat people, what's good? I see you. I'm gonna shake your hand like a man. If you know what I mean, I want to see you coming. And if I see you coming and you want that drama, okay, cool. We can do that too. Thank you.
Yeah. I know like that's one of the things I wanted to do is get different perspectives of it so we can, like, everything that you guys have been saying, man, everybody has been on point with it. One of the things that, like I said, me and my 51 years of age, I'm starting to get even more confused, right?
You only 51? Boy, you youngin'.
You're young, JT.
But it's starting to be, and it's funny because I didn't expect to be as confused as I've been probably in the past year, just based off of not just history, but trying to figure out how we can drive this thing forward as people. Do we do it as, a unit of black folks? Do we do it as a co-op with other ethnicities? Do we do it, it seemed like we're backpedaling on progress, because now we go from this whole thing of what our ethnicity is or race or our nationality. Now we're at a point where it's like this whole thing has been pushed for gender wars. And I'm like, this is some bullshit right here, right? Because that's, in my opinion, fighting a community or a nation from the inside out. And what I mean by that is we already know family is what keeps one people in strength, right? even if we have, like, for instance, in America, we have black folks and white folks, and we have a history with one another. It seems as if all we have our young folks that know is how to hate if they're black, how to hate white folks, or how to, the white folks, how to hate black folks. But then even with that, now it's starting to be where it's not with, like, not the millennials, but the Gen Zs, right? With the Gen Zs, it seems as if they're not even listening to any of this stuff anymore. They're not listening to history. They don't have any pride of who they are, ethnicity, what their ethnicity is. They don't have any pride on their race. It's kind of like they're just bringing up some new shit. I'm a cat, so I'm gonna have pride in cat pride. It's like they don't want to, nobody wants to be anybody anymore. Black people don't want to be white. White don't want to be black. And that's where it's starting to confuse me, because I'm like, okay, how do we lead and it starts to take hold again? Because right now it just looks like everything is slipping. And one of the reasons why I'm thinking is because we got too many people saying, I'm tired of having race conversations, or I'm tired of having conversations of relationships. I'm tired of having, relationships. Well, they don't even say I'm tired of having money relationships. Conversations. They're not even engaged into that. They're not engaged into politics. They're not engaged to all these different things. This is why I'm asking us, and this is the thing. Most of all of us pretty much have lived more than half our lives here. But how do we get what we think to at least to the millennials? Because this is, I'm telling you, man, this is it's just confusing me. And I thought that I was going to be at a point where I could just at least say with my people that we have at least gotten to another level where we can have new problems. It seems like we do got new problems, but the new problem we have has regressed us. You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
Pride into being black. Can we do that? Because again, from Brother Ricky, what he was saying, nah, that black shit, you shouldn't call yourself black. And I agree with him. Information Man, you had a show on that whole thing on black being a status before. So we understand that, but I don't think that the message will come to the people that actually needs to get the real message. I understand it. I'm like, oh shit, we calling ourselves black, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to call ourselves black. I think we need to take that and actually make it mean something. It was kind of like what Mr. Bennett was saying. This is why I'm asking you guys, what does being black to you is? You being black. Are you proud of being a black American? Are you proud of, all these different things? So the thing is now, what I want to see if you brothers actually can agree upon this. I had another one that I wanted to ask. What is it? Here we go. So the question is there a difference being black, African American, Negro? What I didn't add was indigenous. Indigenous. I want to start with my man Lit, and then we go Mr. Bennett, and then we go on down.
You know what? I've been listening to what everybody's saying, man, and I'm so glad that we get an opportunity to have this conversation because it's about to get real. When I came into this world, it was a mess. It really was. We were coming out of the civil rights movement, and I, as a child, we weren't distracted with a whole lot of some of the same stuff that these kids have. You know what I'm saying? It was just regular TV and the newspaper, so we consumed our information different. Well, the problem with us now is that our information is consumed from different places and for different reasons. Basically, our problem is with black people is that we're distracted. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give y'all an example. When I was roughly about 9 years old, I had a very, very curious imagination. So in my dad's basement, I used to work on different projects and stuff like that just on my own, because back then being an inventor was the Black thing to do. You see what I'm saying? Coming up with different things. So long before I had information about who certain people were or what other people did, I just basically did what I do. And basically I came up with a concept of wireless energy. Well, it wasn't until I got to high school and I did more research, I found out who Nikola Tesla was. And I was like, well, that'd go. But I didn't realize that he never patented none of his stuff. I was like, okay, let me see what's going on with this. So after that, I started finding out, I started watching, this is right around the same time Windows, Microsoft, Apple, all this other stuff came out. So I used to pay attention to them. They used to make their money, I don't know if people know this or not, by patents. It's called first mover advantage. So what happened was these people were making billions and millions of dollars off of people copying their patent. They really didn't come up with nothing. They just bought other people's patents and started suing them. Well, guess what? We as Black people should do the same thing. You know, we should get back to inventing things. And I think that's what brought us to being Black and proud. We were proud because of what we did instead of who we are. You see what I'm saying? Because what we did binds us to being proud of something that we did. We don't do a lot of that stuff anymore. We take our degrees and hang them up on the wall instead of taking them and putting them to use in the community. That's our problem. We have a problem with wanting to be accepted, wanting to be acknowledged so bad that we forgot to do the actual work. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is this, I want Black people to get back to doing. That's the only economic move that we have left to make. You see what I'm saying? Our labor, our thought processes, all of this other stuff that we do was what really made us great, not just because of who we are. People are not going to respect you because of the skin color that you have. It's going to be the content of your character. You understand what I'm saying? It's going to be what you do. Now, my thing is this, in order for you to do that, you have to have positive images of yourself. So in order for us to do that, we have to make sure that when we're present, that we're articulate and that we represent ourselves in such a way where people say, you know what, I want to be associated with them. I don't know if y'all remember this or not, but back in the 90s and the 2000s, they had this show called Cops, where every time you turn Cops on, who were they chasing? They were chasing us. And it made it seem like we were always the ones who were the degenerates, always the ones who were stealing and up to no good. Well, guess what? They still doing that same thing with TikTok and YouTube, and everybody's distracted doing these little funky little dances instead of us getting back to reinventing ourselves. You see what I'm saying? Going back to make sure that we are the ones that people come to when they need things done. You see what I'm saying? We need to get back to being the brain trust. You see what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times people, when you think of Chinese, you think about cheap labor. You know what I'm saying? You don't really think of them as being innovators. That's what we used to do. People used to come to America and say, you know what? Those people over there are the inventors. Those people are the Imagineers. Those people are the ones who come up with the ideas and everybody else just copies. But if you go back and you do the numbers, America ain't even in the top 3 no more, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Our kids are slowly slipping away because we have a problem with our identity, because we're doing bad business with each other. So until we start getting our business back together between each other, then we can inspire another generation to say, you know what? I'm proud to be Black. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be who I am because I serve a purpose. You see what I'm saying? And the minute we start having first mover advantages in other situations, that's when you start making money. That's when you start getting patents. That's when people have to pay you for the work that you did. We have to get back to work, people. That's what we have to do. And all this, dividing up this, that, and the other, my whole thing is this. The only reason why we divide is because we're fighting over a story we never wrote. We never wrote any of this. What if I told you that everything that you were told was a bald-faced lie? Everything that you were taught was a bald-faced lie. Who's writing it? Who has the advantage? I'm teaching you to think for yourself. Think about this for a minute. Uncle Ricky hit on something a minute ago. He said there were some cities here in America that were already here. You know what I'm saying? That had Native American names. For one, Chicago was one of them, Chilago. That's what they used to call it. What people don't realize is they used to have world fairs all across this country they don't have anymore. You know why, don't you? Because people were already here. And what they did was to hide it. They burned it all down. You see what I'm saying? So guess what? They did a reset. If you go back and you find a whole lot of these other statues or whatever, they have two dates. They have a date that starts with a 7, and then they have another date that starts with a 17. What time frame are we living in? If somebody else controls the narrative, they control how you think. I'm trying to teach you how to think for yourself. What is really going on? What if we already had a civilization here and somebody stole it? Somebody burned it to the ground and gave you a new narrative, ran it backwards, so to speak, and said, you know what? You were just a slave. Instead of saying you were an innovator. What if you were a peaceful, imaginative people who built buildings, pyramids, things they still can't build to this day? You see what I'm saying? That speaks to a much older civilization. You see what I'm saying? But until you do your information, you'll believe this same lie that people tells you all the time. Your people come from a long line of cotton pickers and all this other stuff when you really wasn't. You were the Imagineers. You were the pioneers. Everywhere we set foot on this planet, we made it better. But we choose to believe the lie. My thing is this: what serves you better? Finding the truth of who you really are, or continuing to live a lie somebody else told you? I gave you a little bit of information. The rest of it is up to you. Find out a little bit more. Do more research. Stretch your mind. Stretch your imagination. Don't believe the lie that somebody else told you. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to land it right there because I told y'all what I had to give you was going to upset the apple cart a little bit. But if you do your research, you'll find out that I'm telling the truth. Thank you, JT.
All right, man. Listen, my man, R. Payne, Marriage, Politics, and Sports again. He came here with the $10 super chat. And he says, JT, as Black men, I think that if we put race aside for a sec, we have so many things in common with what's left of the heterosexual men. We can start a movement of men. I'm right there with what he's saying, and I agree with what he's saying. My whole thing is with this whole concept of putting the race aside. How do we do that? It's my question, right?
Well,
what is it that we do that in?
Well, wait a minute, JT. We're jumping ahead of ourselves. How in the hell, this is just my opinion now, how in the hell do we oppose for us as Black men to have some kind of unity amongst all men and be on code when we're not even on code with each other as a people? That's the first law. Look, if you look at every culture in this world, the Italian man is going to always be for the Italian. The Asian man is going to always be for the Asian man. When they move their stores in our community, where you think they take the money back to their community?
Right. Absolutely. So that was my whole thing about
unify.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking at also on Black Men Unfiltered, What We Know podcast, yourself, Information Man show, all of these different things is how do we as men, because this is what I see, we can move a lot of these mountains if it's us as men unifying. If we're all unifying, right? That's the how to.
Right.
I told you, and I'm gonna lay right here on this hill right here. I'm getting more and more confused because I'm like, okay, where do we start? What do we? I mean, it's so many battles. How do we pick these battles?
See, JT, I'm 50. I turned 54 in November, brother. I'm not confused. I think as you gain age, you should also gain wisdom. I'm not saying you don't have wisdom, but I feel like as older as I've gotten so far, I see shit for what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that, yes, men should unite to fight against things that affect men, right? We really should, yes. But I know people don't want to hear this. We still got a lot of work to do in our own damn households.
Correct.
And that's where, okay, so that's where what you just said right there is where the confusion with me. And I'm just saying this, and
Yeah,
you know,
I hear you.
it is what it is, man. I know a lot of shit just like a lot of other people, but this is what's confusing me because I'm seeing it, you know, in real life, in real time.
Oh, okay.
And I'm seeing how far our generation that comes after us is so far away from us now. And I'm like, okay, how do we get this back? And I hear, you know, some people say, well, we got to hold accountability, you know, and then I hear somebody else say something else. And it's kind of like, okay, how do we do that? You know, this is my whole thing. When you keep asking the why, what, how, this is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back to, that's where I'm at now. Okay, why? And then somebody give me an answer. And I say, well, why? Because when you keep saying it, it's kind of like how children, they're innocent and they're going to keep asking you why. Why is the sky blue? You tell them why the sky is blue, they're going to say, well, why? Right? That's where I'm back at again because I'm seeing things in real time. I see it in the world. I see it global. What I'm saying is just in my family, the people that's right in front of me, the people that I love. And it's funny because I remember, you know, my grandmothers and my uncles, great uncles, and I remember them saying, once you start getting in your 50s, life is going to start going faster and it's going to be so much in your face where if you're not equipped, it will scare you to a point where you're ready to die. Because you're just going to lose people so much. I remember somebody telling me this as I was in my 20s. Now it's starting to resonate. I'm starting to see, we just losing people left and right. And this is a time where most people start losing their parents, if their parents are not already gone. But to add on to the natural stuff, you got so many people that done lost their children. You got a lot of people that done lost their children, man. We got a lot of, so it's starting to get me to a point where, okay, how we get this motherfucker back? How we get this shit back at least, and everybody ain't gonna make it. I'm not into the kumbaya type of thing. I'm looking for just some type of solution where we can start from. Men unite, I definitely get it, but it goes to what you were saying also, information, man. We got to be on code. We have to be on code with each other. Again, it raises the question. How and what's the purpose? Why? Why? Mr. Bennett, you got anything to add to that, man? Or to answer?
The thing that I've heard tonight that is a little bit confusing to me, and I think that's one of the reasons I embarked on what I said, is that there seems to be, on one hand, there's an effort to get away from what we look at as limitations, whether it be to get away from race, why are we calling ourselves black, why are we associating with certain things we need to get on, but then in the same sentence, we'll still say black people. Or we'll still say we. Well, who is we then? Or we'll still say us. So who is us? But we got to get away. So we're trying to get away from something, but in a way we can't, because we still need something that pulls us together. Foundationally, regardless of where it is, you have to have something that you can kind of stand and plant on. Back in the day, it seemed like it was easier. Now it's harder because of the different information that's available, because younger generations aren't as tied into the struggle, and that struggle seems to, at least in their minds, further away from them. But like I said, I go back to my daughters again. My daughters, it got to a point where they did not feel rooted. So I had to root them in a way that they could comprehend, they can understand, and that they could share with those of like mind. So when our pain says, as a black man, if we put away race, and then he says immediately after that, he says we. You hear people in this space talking about, well, there is no black community. Well, then what are we then? Because you'll still say we. So for me, again, I think part of can we at least come to some consensus? Can we have something that we can work off to say, okay, this is where we start. It's not where we're finished. It's not going to define us permanently, but it's a start. You need roots so that you can grow branches. So that's why I defined it the way it is. So, and back to, brother Lit, I mean, you were spot on, but again, that's the way I define it. It's much more complex. It's who we are and what we do. Oftentimes who you are is defined by what you do. That you can't just separate the two. It's also where we've come from, and it's also where we're going. All of those things, we have a commonality that we need to tie together. And what I'm trying to bring to this conversation is, can we have an anchor? Can we put our stake here and says, this is who we are? And then we can talk about the way forward, but we're still debating over, are we a we to begin with? There is no black community. Why are we talking in these terms? Why are we associating ourselves with a skin color? All these narrow definitions. And again, it's bigger than that. So I think why you may be confused about it, or certainly the confusion I hear when I see people so adamant we need to get away from blackness, but then in the next sentence, who's the we you're talking about? Can we come to it? We need to come to something that anchors us so we can go out and then explore and develop and build. But I'm all about excellence. I'm all about invention. I'm all about the positive. The imagery is huge. I mean, Lost, you nail that one. The imagery of ourselves, and with all these things that are out there that are showing the negative sides of us. And it's not even to say that the positive isn't being shown, but there's so much of the darkness being shown that people don't even pay attention to the light. There's a lot of good content out there. This platform is one of them. There's a lot of great content that's being shared, information, man. I know, brother, you put in the work every week. So I know there's positive things that are out there, but it's being drowned out by the loudness of this other stuff that's out there.
Facts.
So, but that's still the hard work that still needs to be done. We need to create a positive platform, an environment that uplifts, celebrates, informs, instructs Black people on how to be the best versions of ourselves to go forward. Can we get our families back together? And then once we get our families back together, can we get our communities functioning again? Can we start being better managers of our money? Can we start doing things that move the needle forward for us as a whole? Can we get that message out? But I think it has to start. It has to start in something. And for the younger millennials, again, that's one of the things I'm trying to do in these spaces. I was just talking to a brother I went to school with. He's one of the deans at the colleges now, and he recognizes the problem also, the ethnic beefs that are happening amongst people who look like us, but from all the different parts of the world, of the diaspora, as we used to call it. That's just not moving in. That's not serving anybody. To say, hold up, brother, we going through the same. Why we beefing? And it's almost like there's a puppet master sometimes that's kind of playing one against each other, to a certain extent. So for me, I think where we could start is, again, having a clear definition, a clear way that we can anchor ourselves in something so that we can move it forward. But all the things, yes, creating a positive platform that informs, that uplifts, that talks about the best in us and charts the best ways forward, bringing together those who are experts in economics, in health, in finance, in family, in marriage, in all the things that help to build and sustain communities. We need to continue to push that forward. And for those who get it, I would be ecstatic if 10% of our people can take content and then go and do something with that. That's about 1 million, 1.2, 1.3 million people. I think that would certainly move the needle. In fact, former KS, he talked about it. We don't have to trying to say we're going to completely change Black America. I think that's moonshot. I think that's too much. But can we get 10% of people who want to do things differently but don't know how, or haven't been seeing the models but want something different? They know their situation is not ideal, but can they identify people who are doing it right? Can we be the salt and light in the world that says, I want to, know what that brother or sister knows? Maybe they know something. Every one of us on this panel, we should have people in their 30s, if not 40s, that we should be meant to have relationships with, that we're mentoring in some form or fashion. And it should be down. Again, I talked about this before. Mentoring we shouldn't be worrying about so much about the Gen Zers. I think at this point, we're too old for that.
Right.
But there's some 40 somethings. I got, again, my youngest is 20. I got some guys 35, 38 years old, got kids 8 and 12 years old, still trying to work some things out. I can talk to that guy. And because he can see me, it's like, man, you just got through that. How'd you get through it? Let's meet. Let's have a conversation. So we should be influenced on that. But, so again, manage what we can manage. Conversations that we can have. Again, a 20-year-old isn't going to listen to us. I mean, they made that clear in many conversations that the Gen Xers blew it, or the baby boomers blew it.
Yeah, and we
still got some you got some older millennials though. Hey, I'm 40 years old and I'm just still trying to work some things out. I'm at a part of my career. Where should I go from here? There's a lot of influence we can have with those guys. And then hopefully those guys can then take some 30-year-olds, and the 30-year-olds can do the 20-year-olds, and so on and so forth. But, it needs to be a lot more directed in terms of what we're doing. But overall, we need to have an anchor.
Yeah, I'm going to read this chat right quick, information, man. I'm going to let you go.
Read the super chat. The brother's got an interesting message there.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Marriage, politics, and sports, my man.
Appreciate
you. He says, our class divide is much greater than talking about race as our only issue. We have to talk about race as a primary issue in my 65 years. He says, we are further behind. Yeah, he was saying we are further behind than we were. We don't have to ignore race. Whose code? He was asking whose code that we should be on. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. Your super chat again, but yeah, let's address that right.
Can I read? I want to read. Must Be Logic, who gave me a super chat, $10 super chat, which I appreciate that.
Thank you for the super chat.
We as a people what was this? Compartmentalize.
Yeah.
Okay. We allow color to define us. We have to dig deep into who we are as individuals first. What do y'all think about that?
It's exactly what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
You want to separate, you want to get down to the individual, but you're still using the word we. If we're all individuals, then who's the we then?
Right.
And how do you define we if you want to focus on the individual? So again, it's like you're trying to separate yourself from it because you look at it as a limitation. But then you still want to, but you still can't escape it because we're something. And it's not, again, as I said, it's not just race, it's experience, it's identity, it's culture. I mean, look at our music. We got R&B, hip hop, Afrobeat, reggae. It's the same music. The dances, the foods. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same rhythm. It's the same. It's like this. It's the way we talk. I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson. He and on a Vlad show, he talked about being black. He does not want to be identified as a black scientist because he thinks that's a limitation. He just wants to be, again, a scientist who just so happens to be black. But I'm asking the question, what is wrong with being a black scientist? And the one thing that I've always asked about Neil deGrasse Tyson is, why is it that he resonates with so many people, regardless of people aren't even interested in science? But you listen to the man. Look at how he talks. He's got a swag about him.
Right.
That draws people in. Why do our artists and entertainers entertain cross-platform? Michael Jackson, Prince, all the James Brown, all these people, they weren't just singing to black people. Everybody was on with these guys. It's our timbre, it's our resonance, it's our rhythm, it's all these things that contribute to the world. It's not saying we're better than anybody else, but there is a uniqueness about us. So why do we look at black as something less than? No, it's just a part of the human experience that we so happen to have, that we've shared with the world.
Right.
So why are we looking at black as a limitation?
Because and I've said this many times, in America, we are culturally conditioned to see black as inferior, white and anything else as superior. And as a manifestation of that cultural conditioning, we will underestimate, undervalue, and marginalize ourselves as black people, and the larger society does it to us. You said a really good point, Mr. Bennett. You said the brother who's a scientist,
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse
Brilliant.
Tyson.
I mean, I love.
He's
Every
brilliant.
time I listen
He
to him,
says he doesn't want to be seen as a black scientist, but you said he doesn't go around saying he's a black scientist. He doesn't go around, but people still listen to him. So therefore, even if he sees himself as a black scientist, people see value in the knowledge that he has.
But it's not just that.
But there should be some
you got
pride
others. Because you got Neil, the science guy.
Okay.
What's the guy?
Bill Nye, the science guy.
He doesn't resonate like Neil.
But because Neil is personable, I think he's personable in the way he talks and he explains things, right? He makes it very simple. But I think there's a problem when we try to run away from who we are. And this is no disrespect. I personally think that this is one of the reasons why black people in America, we tend to want to identify with other things that have more glory to it. So when you look at, for example, Egypt, where black people in America are bamboozled with our Egypt assessment.
Affiliation, yeah.
Right. You know why? Because it's got pyramids. The landscape is very extraterrestrial. They wearing the gold and they got the fancy regalia on, right? But for some of us who came from West Africa or tropical Africa, when we look at that part of the continent, it doesn't look romantic enough to us, right? We don't want to be associated with people wearing little trees around, wearing things that don't seem technology-like. And because black people have been so beaten down psychologically in this country, we want to associate with anything that looks great. That's why, no disrespect to people who have the belief that we come from here. I get that. I've studied that too. But I think that's one reason why psychologically we tend to want to gravitate to, I don't come from the continent. We come from over here. See, we built pyramids because we've been taught, this is the facts, that anything associated with the continent of Africa, by watching them damn Tarzan movies when we were growing up,
right,
that Africa has a negative connotation because of the way they depict the people walking around, the way they would depict them, no clothes on, looking savage. That's the way they depicted it. And so we've been conditioned by those imageries that we have to gravitate sometimes to something that's more romantic. That's why we love this whole idea about Egypt. But we got to realize for those of us who come from North America or the western part of Africa, so we think, or may not, technically our ancestors didn't come from that part. Now, maybe they did, who knows? But if we came, this is my thing. If we did come from North America, if we are the original natives here and all of those things, and that's great. That's great. That's grand. Then why are we so obsessed with being an Egypt obsessed? If you're gonna say this is the confusion, JT, that you're talking about, brother. 1 minute we're saying we're from here and we're native, but we're so focused on Egypt. Well, that ain't where we come from. I thought we Native Americans here.
I'm gonna help you out with that information.
You know, I'm just saying this for the argument's sake, brother. I'm just, you know.
Yeah. It's just the conversations that we have, and this is what I was saying. Absolutely, you hit it dead on the head.
I think the brother down here, Trey, has something he got his hand up. What's up, brother?
Yeah, I just think this whole space that we in now regarding men, it's just a regurgitation of the feminist movement and the crack era to me. I listen to the brothers and you all speak with such wisdom, and I can understand the age and the dynamic of what we speak, because we sort of think from a logical point of view. And JT, you mentioned something about being confused. I just think you're using the wrong word with that, because in all of our lives, at any point in our lives, we come to an age of reason. And when you get in your 50s, like I think somebody mentioned, that you just start to see things clear for what it is. And it's either black or white. It ain't no gray no more. It's like, man, this shit ain't right. Or, you know what I'm saying? Yes, this is the way. And I think you can see it in the spaces. I think this is a unique time for younger brothers, because I look at the young 21 adult. You no longer have limitations on your life once you turn 21. The world is your oyster if you choose to continue to connect to like minds of the space you want to be in. I think a lot of brothers just tend to give up early because, again, they miss that balance when you're 12 or 13, when those kahunas start separating from your body. It shows the importance of a male figure. We had 100 good years where everybody from the baby 6 weeks old to great grandmama, the eldest, even if, listen, the funny thing about us as a nation, we don't know how we became cousins, because some of us are related that ain't related. You know, so we just came in that movement together. So we just came as a community, everything built. And I think America was understood us, because then they created the Social Security number so they could say, like, oh, they understood the strength that we had in male, female-led homes. They understood that. So as we fight for these rights, you know, remember, one hand, Malcolm wanted separation, Nation of Islam. Pastors was like, no, man, we need to get in this game together. We need to fall in with them. And as we fell in, we lost a lot of our identity. The church used to be a place where you go, all the men spoke about community issues, things that could keep stuff out of the community. Once they realized that that was the way that we were going to thrive, they threw a wrench in the game. No, come on over and get this new. And black men were still fighting to hold a place. We still had the strength in our numbers, and we still spoke together. And we were moving on. Even when mothers chose to go to these public houses, they still understood their role in a sense. You wasn't going to the club seeing your mama and your aunties unless your auntie, you knew your auntie had a reputation. But you wasn't going out there seeing mom. She went to the church picnic and the family reunion. That was it. Then you bring in the crack era. It took the mother out the home. Now we dealing with and this is where the powers that set this in motion understood the dynamics. So now we 40 years into it. Brother Bennett mentioned 40-year-old guys. A lot of time between the age of 18 pretty much to 35, several brothers have not been on a level playing field because they didn't have the father to say, or the big uncle to say, man, get your shit together. I'm going to take, and the mothers pretty much the mothers just give up after a certain point, because they realize they can't handle that energy of a man. And I think that's what the disconnect come in with men, because us older guys don't see it from the younger guys' point of view, because we standing on the outside of the garbage can looking in like, damn, this is nasty. And they in the garbage like, this is all right. It smells good. I'm not leaving. It's comfortable. It's warm, you know. So I think that's what we fighting against. And the strategy that I've used over the last 15 years in trying to make Black men be better is that I found it in my heart. Well, and part of what I wanted to do, to go to those youth that are right on that borderline, that right on that fence of not really understanding and not being afraid. One, going to the mother, going to that guardian and say, look, you have a bright son. This boy is smart. He's good in math. He draws pictures. He can do whatever. I need you to give him to me a couple of days. And I understand that if I meet him at 15, I'm gonna have to be in his head at least half the time of of his age. I gotta be there, and I'm gonna let him know we gonna mess up along the way. But when I mess up, you will understand and be able to help me through it. When you mess up, I'm just gonna hold you accountable and help you move forward. It ain't gonna be easy. You ain't gonna like it all the time, but if you put in the work and you take baby steps, it might take you 10 years to take those steps. Then when you get to that age of reason, when it flip, when that light bulb come on, you're going to understand how to maneuver in the world, not just your neighborhood. You're going to understand how to stand up, like the brother said, you look a man in the eye, hold your chest up. It's a whole different build of a man today. We all got big, broad shoulders and big necks. It's a different build of a man because they're not even getting that man energy from day one. And I think for me, and if brothers that like to get into that work, how we can build that bridge, we have to start with our youth. The older guys, they have to go into their neighborhoods and apologize to some of these families whose brothers they got that ain't here. It's a lot of brothers that got taken out, strong brothers, regardless of their lifestyle. Go make some apologies, expect whatever they give back, build that bridge, take on a youngster, you know, and allow and last thing, allow these kids to express their emotions through art. I've gotten some of the greatest things through art just by kids expressing their emotions. I tell kids, write down everything. I don't care. Write it down how you feel in that moment. If you mad, write it down. If you sad, write it down. Because those stories can help you come back and say, okay, I found a way. And expect to make mistakes as a kid. We all do. But here's my thing. We all got I see all big noses and big nostrils and big lips. Regardless of what part of the world, the country you come from, we all son people. So we just got to build off our energy together. That's why we get so ramped up around each other, because we all got neurons and things bouncing off each other. So
right.
Last thing, it's my last one. Between what's documented, more Black people invented things in slavery than we have since we've been free. More of them. Couldn't read, couldn't write, but can envision it. Envision it. DC, he got it through the mind, the line with the stars. You ain't heard nothing greater than that. So let's just start being true men that we are, and brothers that we sit on our little porches. Don't be afraid to go to that kid in a peaceful way and go to that mother, and she'll give that boy to you. Like, here, man, take him. But let her know it'll be a little change, because don't spend that money on your wig. I need $40 so we can go eat, and I can feed him and talk to him. So that's me.
That's the reason why I said when I talked about what it was to be Black, I really laid heavy on our ancestors, because you said something powerful. Our ancestors were able to get more patents and invent things under more duress than what we have today. So isn't it a indictment on what we're not doing today that we need to be doing? If our ancestors could do more with less than what they had under even deeper racial stress,
what they say,
there's no excuse for us.
Pressure breaks pipes or builds diamonds.
Yeah, that's right.
So
More
that could be part of it
distracted.
as well. You know what I'm saying? I
If-
mean, it's
if-
like when you have to, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we had to do certain things just to survive. You know what I mean? So I think that's something. I think just with the relative piece that DL Saint was talking about, you know, go in these other portions of the world where there's just all this chaos and whatnot. But you know, a lot of those folks, when they get here, their communities are tight because again, there is that sort of banding together. But this illusion that, oh, well, America is now everyone's equal and everyone's an individual and everyone could do whatever, is there that connectiveness that really drives us to be, you know, have to be the best version of ourselves, or we can just act, you know, I see the other guy over there, he acting the fool. Oh, I guess I can act the fool also. Back in the day, you couldn't afford to be a fool because being a fool could get you killed. Well, I'm sorry,
Right.
delete it. My bad.
What?
Now, let me get this super chat from a man, R Payne.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
All right. R Payne says we does not mean color. It means we as what we have in common with as Americans. I certainly do not look at black as inferior. I don't think that is our biggest issue to solve any longer. That's what R Payne had put out there. Thank you, brother, for your super chat. Again, I appreciate you, man. You've been giving us
yeah. Fun
R Payne been dropping it, man.
He's the title sponsor.
Right.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is, you know, Black Man Unfiltered, he always have something when we get a super chat. So what I want to do is, I actually want to give him. We're gonna take a little break with this right here, man, so we can get my man White Chocolate to do a little something.
I got a red room, it's the red down when the sun sets in my bedroom. Oh, it feels like I'm inside a flower. It feels like I'm inside my eyelid. It feels like I'm inside a flower. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, White Chocolate.
Real quick, though.
White Chocolate.
Yeah, real quick though. When we talk about this, to Brother Bennett's point, over here, to Brother Bennett's point and all the brothers' points tonight. Everyone in this country, I don't care what bubble they're from, they are on some level influenced and want to be down with the culture that the descendants of slaves have made here in America. I love that track right there. Like I love, donating to Black Man. I'm like, yo, please, you know what I want to see? That young man right there would be so willing to be led by someone who looks like us. If only we would go ahead and let our leadership ability be known. When I go out here and I mentor, whatever, I lead first. I don't care what color, what bubble you come from. I lead first. And everything else is going to come under that. Of course, we're going to talk about racism. Of course, we're going to talk about sexism. What Brother Trey was saying about the feminist movement. Yeah, I agree with him. It's doing serious damage to America. Of course, we're going to talk about that. But we got to lead first. You know what I mean? I think we get lost. You know what I mean? Like Brother Lost in Translation was saying, we are so confused and we're so distracted with everything else that's going on. And generation after generation is going leaderless, and again, as a military guy, man, we lead first, man. You got to know the mission. The mission is clearly defined. We train, we go out there and we get it down. And one of these chats, I'm trying to follow all three platforms. This is the first time I had to do this, but I'm doing a lot of clicking over here. But in one of these chats, someone said, what does it mean to be an American? I'm like, well, there's the birthright part of being American, or, You can somehow get some sort of legal status and like legally become an American through marriage or whatever. It used to be what it meant to be an American is when someone tries to destroy the planet like the Germans did in 1940s, or the Japanese did back in 1940, whatever, and the Italians, or go back to World War I or whatever. The Americans were the ones who came to save the day. Them big dumb Americans, you know what I mean, from their silly little country over there, flanked by two oceans, will come over here and restore the peace at a high cost. To be an American, it used to mean you were free. Like, our Constitution and all that kind of stuff, man, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, right? We see how true that is now. You look at what's going on. We used to be educated in this country. Every generation gets dumber and dumber. Like and it's our fault. I don't put it on the school. They can't teach when people are telling them what to. This whole thing with genders, man, have y'all lost y'all mind? And then like I got a teenage daughter. Name 3 countries on planet Earth. She can't do it. We started this, a few months ago. She can't do it. So what did I do? Got a big map, stuck it to the wall right outside her bedroom, and every single day, name 3 countries. And now we're up to 12. And we're going to continue to do this. My daughter's only in 8th grade. Like, how did you get to the 8th grade and you can't name the 2 countries that border us? I didn't say I'm like, name 3 countries, any country, name the country you in. She couldn't do it. So we have to take ownership from this. Slaves, the people who were emancipated doing slavery, the first ones, the slaves that got free.
Mm-hmm.
The government didn't want to pay them money, like 40 acres of tillable land and a mule. Ooh, that was government. That was a General Grant's idea. Yeah, we're gonna do it. They didn't do it, but the slaves had nothing. You know what I mean? And they were just getting brutalized at every turn. But you know what they did? They educated themselves. It meant something. They could read, they could write. They didn't have to write up. They didn't have to leave their mark. I can sign my name. Right? Kids can't write cursive anymore. We're back to a point where kids
they took it out.
They can't sign their names. Now, are we gonna sit back and blame other people? Are we gonna look into that mirror and figure out a way to educate our kids? You notice I said our kids. I ain't talking about this. Ain't just blacks, right? This is America. I'm working on a book right now. It's called America, Fat, Dumb, and Not So Happy. And it's just my point of view of what I've seen. Look at us, man. We're fatter than any human's ever been. We're dumber than any nation has ever been. Look at as far as developed nations go too. And who's happy anymore? Ain't nobody happy out here, bro. Everybody out here mad. We so mad we picking up our things and we deleting each other. We're so unhappy that we're going out here. Everybody's unhappy. Relationships don't work. Women want to take over men. Like I said, the brother Trey's point, go in the family court, you get wrecked. And women are starting to figure out that the family court doesn't care about your gender. They just want to know who makes the money. So now you're seeing women getting wrecked in family court. They're losing their kids. They're having to pay for child support. They're having to pay alimony. You know what I mean? They're like, what's going on? Like, yeah, y'all didn't bother to read.
I want to say this though, brother. Please be very careful when you make the general statement that Americans are dumb, because I've interviewed young black males who are doing incredible things. They have a program in Oakland that's been in Oakland for a while called Afro Tech, where you have black men and women who are involved in technology and creating inventions and things they will be using tomorrow. I think there's a segment of our society that's blind, deaf, and dumb. And then there's a larger segment that's very intelligent. And then on another thing, you got to be very careful, because most of these other countries are stealing their technology ideas from us.
Thank you.
Most of them have to come over here, like the East Indians. They come over. Look, I'm in California, Silicon Valley. They coming over here to work. We ain't going over there to work because we got the infrastructure. They don't have it.
I want to.
Of course,
that's where the trick bag comes in.
Of course, they can pay them less money than they'll pay me and you, because we're Americans and we'll command more pay, right? I'm saying I get what you're saying. We got some dummies, but let's not underestimate the intelligent ones. We got did y'all hear about there was a couple of black youngsters, 16, they're going to college. There's a young man, I think he was on Good Morning America. I think he was like a 12-year-old. He's getting
the
ready
youngest
to enroll
kid in college
into Harvard. Right. There is some brilliant young people even within our race, but the problem is that we don't publicize it, right? But if it's a kid who grew up as a gangster, went to jail, he gets out of jail and then does right, we'll celebrate that person before we'll celebrate the kid that's been doing the right thing with parenting like you did with your daughter from the get-go.
And I want to be very clear. When I make these broad statements,
yes, sir.
I'm not just talking about our community. You're out in California. I spent the better part of 23 years in SoCal, right? Go to any of the Cal State schools, any of those campuses, and ask them kids to name 10 countries on planet Earth. But ask those kids. I'm not talking. Don't even touch. Don't talk to a black kid. You know what I mean? Go ask the kids that you come across to name. They can't do it. And then ask them to name the top 10 hits or whatever, or the most. You know what I mean? Mr. Beast first. I want to be clear on that. And one other thing, real quick, just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If you go stop an Armenian kid down in SoCal, if you go down to Glendale, California, you go talk to an Armenian kid, right? You will be blown away with the knowledge of an 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 18-year-old Armenian kid. It comes from the home. I'm not looking at society and trying to victimize anybody. I'm simply saying, right? Like right now, my daughter goes to school every day. I take her to school every day. My daughter be on the road. My daughter's out here doing everything she's supposed to do. And I got a quick side note I'll tell you in a second, but after you come back, because we get the society of everybody wants to be victims. My daughter is exceeding what she should be doing right now, but she can't name 3 countries if we didn't get into this on planet Earth, let alone forget about states, forget about cities, forget about history.
But DL, can I just ask you one thing? And I got to go after this, guys. So again, great, fantastic show. Salute to
outstanding
Lost
show.
Translation, JT.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
I don't want us to make the mistake though of having information meaning intelligence. What you're naming, and I used to be like that too. I can name like the top, back when I was a kid, I can name the top 20 longest rivers in the world. I can name all this, all that statistical stuff. And I think where the educational system has gone is, rather than just knowing information, like memorizing your times tables or whatnot, I think a lot of the educational system is more so geared towards teaching you how to problem solve and how to think. As far as getting that information, yeah, you can Google it. There's so many places where you can get that information if you need it. But I think that the educational system has changed from just knowing memorization to how to apply, how to do algorithms, how to apply a thought process to how to get, like, I remember even with my kids, I remember there was a time where I couldn't help my daughters with their math because they taught them this whole new math process that I could solve the problem for you. I can get you the answer, but it wasn't about them knowing the answer. It was about a thought process that they wanted to learn, that if I wanted to learn it, I would have had to do that also. So that new math messed me up. But they knew it well enough. And again, we provided their environment. They were able to figure it out. I still couldn't figure it out because I was so wired in terms of how I knew information. So I don't think we should necessarily be measuring intelligence on how many states you can name or facts or data, but can they think, and can they be flexible and move, and can they problem solve? I think is where the educational system is going more so than that information. It was important to us. And I remember the times tables. I remember all that stuff. Yeah, it was like rote memorization. You had to go, your parents would ask you anytime, give me this. What's 12 times 13? What's this? Yeah, you had to do that stuff. But it's just not there. So I don't want to link that with intelligence.
And I'm not trying to do that either, but we need to have a foundation. Right? There's you look at the United States military. Right? The reason they're having a hard time recruiting right now, right? Some of the top reasons, most kids are out of shape, right? They're fat and they're unhealthy. And then these kids just don't have the intelligence. Like you said, they don't have the ability to be taught to use these weapon systems, right? So I guess my pushback to you would be, I understand what you're saying because I agree. I went through the same thing. Like, what are you doing? My kids are drawing all these circles and little circles inside of circles. And, trying to figure out like, hey, bro, it's, I mean, it's 3 times 7. Like, just, you're supposed to remember that, right? But but the thing is this, I would argue that we are failing at that. And again, I'm not just talking about black kids, right? The military, when I was in, we had some serious, military, equipment, and you had to be a certain intelligence level. That's why you got to take that test, take the ASVAB, and you had to be. You couldn't just be dumb and be a grunt anymore. There were people like, you're not smart enough to be a rifleman.
They come into
you're not smart enough to be
sessions, everything. Absolutely.
My daughter was just telling me was it yesterday or the day before? It's like, some kid got ran over. Right. So we're on paper, we're teaching them how to problem solve, but they can't figure out why you shouldn't walk in the street. You know what I mean? Like, it just like we're failing these kids. And when the black kid that got hit, you know what I mean? So I mean, it's just one of those things that I've seen 2 kids get hit taking my daughter to school. I live in the best school district in Tampa. I moved from Cali to Tampa. I live in the best school district in Tampa. And these kids, they couldn't think their way out of a wet paper bag, bro. I mean, it's just we're failing. Now, I think, of course, there's some blame to go to the teacher. I talk to teachers all the time. They say the same thing. Like the teachers, like, I would love to be able to teach these kids X, Y, and Z, but I can't.
Teaching to the test.
I can't. Yep. So, and the parents aren't doing it because we're distracted and stuff like that. We got to work hard, right? The dollar is worth less. You're making all this money, but you have less spending power. So you got to work even harder just to maintain what you have. And of course, most of us gonna go beyond our means. You know what I mean? We shouldn't, but some of us do. But the kids don't have the parents or someone near to help them. That's all we work. I tell my daughter all the time, how are we gonna get out of this situation? We're in the middle of the mall. How do we get out of here? Where are we parked? What if someone came in with some things over there? They trying to delete people. Which way are you gonna go? We're constantly talking about that because I want her to be able to think. If she wants something, well, give me information on it. I'm not gonna do it for you. Oh, you want this particular part or device for your computer? Find out. Well, how are you gonna get it?
Yep.
You know what I mean? But parents aren't doing that, bro. And that's all I'm saying. That falls on us.
But I think,
brother, go ahead.
I got to go, gentlemen. JT, don't do this to me again. All right. Don't do this to me again.
Mr. Bennett should have been gone.
God bless you, brother. You guys have a great day.
Let on, brother Bennett.
Appreciate it.
Here's the thing I want to add to that, brother. And you and Brother Bennett are speaking it. You are speaking from a father's point of view, the most dynamic point of view in our community that is missing today. You doing what is best for your family without question. You didn't need to go to nobody to say, how do I do this? A father will do that. And that's the unique thing that we're missing in the bulk, because a lot of our children that attend public schools are attending, most of those, the population is mostly with single home. That's why they can get the free lunch. They count them heads when they come. And a lot of people attending public schools don't have collective bargaining because a lot of those people are renting. They're just going along with whatever is pushed. They've been trying to push the LGBTQ in Chicago public schools for 10 years, which is the hub of social services. When people come from around the world, study people, they go right up there to Chicago. Chicago, that's when they started coming out. I learned that they took in cursive writing out of the school. First big failure. Bush, No Child Left Behind. You had to, instead of getting a 70, 75, now your ass can pass with a 51. Now you know everybody that you know get a 51. You be like, man, you dumb as hell. Come on. But without that dynamic of a father who is going to teach, and this is 3 things that a father's going to teach his child straight off the bat. One is competence. I would keep saying it, competence. You're going to help them work through all that other stuff they got going on. When they start challenging mama, hey, boy, sit your ass down. When they start acting out, hey, come here, let me talk to you. What's going on? You're going to ask all the good questions. You ain't going to be like, well, he feel a certain way. You ain't going to think about his damn feelings. Then he's going to teach confidence. Your child's going to be confident to try new stuff. Confident enough to fail. A lot of these kids are afraid to fail. And then he's going to teach courage, because one thing a father go always understand, like, look, man, you better protect yourself out here. Somebody put their hands on you. Look, I ain't telling you to walk away, and I ain't telling you to fight, but at least be confident, you know, Joe Jackson, sometimes we got to be that man. I wish my father would have Joe Jackson me. I probably would have been on stage right now. But what I'm saying with that is a father instills that courage for you to overcome that fear sometimes. One thing I did at an early age was I took all my children swimming when they were 6 months old. I put them in that water. I dumped them. 2 seconds. All my children can swim like fish today. I taught them how to write in cursive in 3 days. One of my sons, they wouldn't teach. Oh, let me show you how to get this. Because when you write in cursive, it teaches you how to critical think through stuff. A lot of students today, a lot of y'all had chemistry. You learned about the Bunsen burner and the test tube, and you learned that. They don't teach that. You had home ec. I knew how to sew a button on my shirt in the 7th grade. Like, what? I can sew my own. I ain't got to wait for mama no more. They teach. A lot of us got that. A lot of young, they took all that out the way because they realized we was advancing. Like, damn, these motherfuckers are picking this up fast. They smart. So they sort of took it away as we came into our adulthood. You don't see the same services, same programs, because even in the summer, everybody had to communicate and gather within their age group. 2 or 3 years difference. Yeah, little kids over here, and you didn't want to be around nobody. You was in high school, you didn't want to be around nobody in middle school. Like, man, you're a kid, get away from me. Now it's all big stuff. They all talking the same. They teaching, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important, especially for fathers, man. If you got a chance to get your babies, man, go fight the court. Fight the court like you look for the weed man. You're going to stand there all day, wait for him. Go fight the courts, tell them you want to be a father. They can't deny you that. You got to tell them, I want to be a father. Forget the mama. You supposed to go around her looking your best every time, like, yeah, I smell good and I look good. Keep it moving. But if you want to save your child from a life full of pain like you have, stay away. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to save them, you got to get involved regardless. Forget the mama, man. Forget her. Y'all, man, you went in there, she gave it up. Y'all was doing it in the backseat in the car. It was y'all. But to move forward, we got to go to our younger generation and let them know that we fighting for them. Because they gonna fight it at first. They don't like that new food coming in there, man. You coming there with them steaks and filet mignon. They've been eating hot pockets and cold cuts for 6 man. You better be patient and just understand that's what man will do. Come with your patience and they will learn. I think we can do it, but I hope I'm still alive. I'm 55, man. So hey, I hope I can still, I'm gonna load the weapon. I can't fight. I need the young dudes to fight. I'm gonna load the weapon and keep everything clean for you, but you got to go shoot. Appreciate you, man.
Again, my man, marriage and politics sports. $5. Our Pain just came in here, man, and cash mobbed the Doggone What We Know podcast, man. I really appreciate you, brother. He says, great panel, JT and gents. Keep up the good fight. I believe breaking away from the Democrats would do more for us as blacks than almost anything else.
Hey, before anybody goes crazy in the chat, before anybody goes crazy in the chat, before anybody goes crazy in the chat, I wanted
to say a few things, JT.
Yeah, if I could just get in real quick. I agree with that brother 100%. And when I say break away from the Democrats, it does not mean run to the Republicans. It means going to whoever's going to give the best deal for the community. You know what I mean? I just think politically I know we're not there yet. So if we were to wield that political power, build it up like we build up our financial power, we spend all this money. If we do the same thing on the political side, I believe that that would be good for the community. Absolutely good for the community. I mean, look at how close this current election is. We got a guy facing 91 indictments, and they talking about they want to put him back into the White House. I'm conservative. I'm a registered Republican, full, just give y'all full disclosure. But I can't stand dude. Yeah, I look at dude like, what is wrong with people? How? Like, you know what I mean? So, but that election is coming up in November. People are just assuming that the black vote is with the Democrats. Imagine if that assumption came with a price tag. You're going to have to do better for our schools. We're going to do this and that. And you're not going to get our vote. Does that mean we're going to vote for him? No. Well, maybe we'll vote for RFK, or maybe we'll vote for some other independent, whoever. But I think we should get into that and just want to throw that out there.
Appreciate it, Dio. Go ahead, information man.
No, I just wanted to, because I'm getting ready to get ready to cut out. I want to say to my audience out there, make sure you check out my man What You Know podcast, JT, who's doing a hell of a job tonight hosting. So he has a channel. Of course, we're on Black Man Unfiltered Network. A lot of great content creators up here tonight. I'm going to be disconnecting on my side in a moment. For those that are on my side watching, I just wanted to say this because I heard, some of the things that I was saying. Like I said before, it depends on the type of kids you are around. Okay. My organization, we're sending thousands of Black kids to college, skilled trades. You got to put our kids with Black professional or skilled tradesmen or businessmen. They need to be connected with the youth. The old lessons that we learned in school, the world, the technology, and where the world is going, that shit is obsolete. It's not. These kids know how to flip a computer backwards, forward, at least the kids I've dealt with. So you talk about mentoring, my organization, we've been doing it for 117 years. Alpha, I do the work. And we're going to keep doing the work. And we got kids that are brilliant. And it's your responsibility as a parent to make sure your kids know what they need to know to survive, however you want them to survive, the academics, the what do you call it? The common sense, which is not always common, the common things that they should know. It's our responsibility. So you brothers have done the right things with your kids. And then the kids that are out here who may not have the father or someone there are groups of Black men out here who are successfully mentoring, particularly Black males, for success. I've interviewed them. I talked to them. I've dealt with them. So I don't look at the future as dire straits. There's going to in every generation, you're going to always have loops. Have y'all forgotten that they said that I'm a Gen Xer, that Gen Xers, what did they call us? They said we were slackers. That we didn't want to work, that we didn't want to have jobs and all of that, right? Because why? When young people grow up, they go through a period where they trying to find who they are, figure out what they are. And then we can quickly label them, but through time and effort, they can blossom. They called Gen Xers lazy. They called us slackers. That's what they did. But not everybody falls in a category. Our problem in this country and in the world is we like to put people in boxes and categorize them, right? The race, ethnic, where you come from, what sex everything is a box so that they can label you and be able to define you. We have to define ourselves, and we have to be the best fathers that we can be to our children so that they are prepared for whatever comes down the gauntlet. Me personally, I'm concerned about Black children. I'm not because white children, I'm just keeping it real with y'all. And other groups of kids, they got a foundation in their communities. They got a foundation. It's my job to be on code with my people and build us up because I was saying this earlier, JT, all the other ethnic groups always put their people before anybody. While we as Black folks keep talking this rainbow bright stuff, ain't nobody else worrying about including us. They worrying about what they got going on. When the Asian man comes into the Black community, open up a store, where you think he take his money to, JT?
Gonna take it and gonna put it out to community. It's
To
gonna go
his
everywhere.
community. He ain't working in our community to say, I'm gonna do this for Black children. No, he taking it back to his community for his kids.
Yep.
Why can't Black people have the same attitude and mentality? We too much into this love everybody. I ain't got time for that. I got time for doing what's in my best interest for me, my family, my people.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Because white folks, they don't need me. They don't need my help. They doing just fine. They running the country. They running the military. And another thing I got to say about the military, I get where the brother's coming from. But guess what? A lot of these kids don't want to be in no military. You know why? They got too many options. Our black asses went in the military, and I got family that's military. Our black asses went into the military in the early days because that was the only option we had. I got uncles that's not here because of the damn Vietnam War. That's our options. Guess what? I like my child to have an option other than military or other than this. More options they have, the more choices they have, the most best choice they can make. It doesn't mean that the military hasn't done anything good for people that need the military and hasn't given them benefits. I ain't saying that. But these kids have too many options now. That's why some of them either don't get into the military because maybe they're not smart enough or don't want to be in it. They're already making rumors right now about if this country had to go to a ground war, they would have to do drafting because not everybody's coming out of school wanting to join the military.
That's absolute fact, bro. Things get high.
Now, I don't mean to be I'm not trying to disrespect nobody up here that's military. I'm just saying I think some of these kids.
But then you got to ask
options.
the question. Then you got to ask the question: are we as loyal, especially our younger generation?
Yes, sir.
Are y'all as loyal to the United States?
Ooh,
I mean, are you loyal because you got you know? And I was one that said I wasn't. This is my final thought. I was one that said I would never go to the military coming out of high school. No, I used to see a recruit up. Man, I was down the hall, dipped out. I was playing sports. I'm going to college. I went to college. I think it was my freshman year in college. They had the NFL strike. Y'all remember? Some of y'all probably don't remember the NFL strike back in the 80s.
Oh no, I remember, brother. I was alive and well.
I'm gonna be a replacement player. It sounded good. Then I hurt my knee. Then I'm like, hell, this college shit seemed like it might work out. And I didn't want to ask mom and daddy for no money. So I said, you know what? I just find myself working. Okay, like shit, man. I don't see myself doing this. And this is me. This is a little story about my life. I found myself still in. That was when bikini underwear was hot. You know, I found myself still in underwear out of Target working overnight. I'm like, hell no. Let me do something. A friend joined the military. He running from the law. I didn't know. I'm like, hey man, you. When I went at the time, it gave me a different perspective because I went right before the Gulf War kicked off. I was in basic training.
Right.
And when I went to Saudi Arabia, I wasn't even out of basic training a month. I was in Saudi Arabia. I was running on the Persian Gulf. I traveled throughout just about the whole country of Saudi Arabia. I was fortunate enough out of Fort Hood. I traveled throughout that country. I saw the best of everything because Saudi Arabia is rich beyond measure. They created a different perspective. They created a beach out of a lake. I mean, an ocean waves out of a lake. So
wow. I think what I like about I just wanted to say
I just wanted to finish.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to give a compliment. No, what I was going to say about brothers in the military, because I do have a lot of respect for those veterans that saved our ass in World War II. But you brothers that's in the military have an interesting perspective because for the most part, most of you have traveled the world and many of us have not. So you guys are able to bring a perspective in these areas that we can't imagine because that's really what I was just saying, a compliment. You guys have that worldly experience that many of us don't have.
So I'm gonna finish. Look, so this is the unique thing about the options that you mentioned. So you mentioned options, right? Okay, so yes, coming today, YouTube allows another space for another option. But I'll say this. Mm-hmm. You 18, 19, you trying to figure it out. College is too expensive. Yeah, now, looking at the military compared to college, because I used to always do it to students, you can either owe $60,000 in the next 4 years, or you can make $60,000 in the next 4 years. You can learn a skilled trade that will apply outside of the military, or you can go sit in the class with the same type of class that you daydream in now. Get nothing done. You will come out, and if you get hurt, make sure you go to the doctor so it can be in your record so you can get that extra bonus. Now, where it comes in at when you get 40 and 50, when
Yes.
When your body start breaking down, you can claim those benefits that will propel you as you get older. Now, the firefighter in the military, they give you a $40,000 bonus. Now, some of y'all ain't gonna see $40,000 for a long time if you don't choose to go to the next level out of high school. So if you think about it, by the time you've been 24, 25, life go hit you. Sit down, look at your options, and make the best decision that will keep you out of debt. Until then, no children out of wedlock, not one. Don't have it. You will be broke for 35 years if you have a baby. I don't care. Do not. If you're not married, don't do it. I appreciate you, JT, man. It's always strong. Brother Lost in Podcast, Lost in Translation. You two brothers, I just met y'all. Hey, man, look, we out here. We're going to keep doing it. We ain't going nowhere. So Generation X, B, C, y'all going to have to push us off the cliff. We ain't going nowhere. We fighting with you.
Right. JT, I'm about to sign off as well. Lost in Translation, brother. I got to be honest, brother. You really set us off really well. I really appreciate what you had said earlier too. And I appreciate Saint too. What I enjoyed about this is that we may have different opinions in certain areas, but you notice that nobody on this panel was arguing, calling each other's names and all this bad mouthing type stuff. That's why I love coming over here and being on panels whenever I can, because we can have intelligent conversation and we can leave respectfully, even if we have differences. I like that.
I appreciate you coming out.
Shout out
information,
to you,
man.
I appreciate you all you brothers. Thank you.
Be easy. Always a pleasure being on the panel with you, brother.
And Saint DL is in a building, man. What's your final thought, my guy?
My final thoughts, man. We'll keep it with the theme of military and why we should serve. And like Brother Trey, I was at KKMC too, man. I was right there, Rafa, Riyadh, same war. I didn't see you there, but we were chewing on the same dirt. I promise you. You know what I mean? And what I learned in the military, especially being a paratrooper, being Fort Bragg, working with the people I work with, working with the tip of the spear. Most Americans don't realize what it takes to be free, to keep America. As bad as it is in country, you have no idea who's trying to get in here and kill us all, right? So, and those guys, those men and women who toe the line, they do. Information man, I respect 100% what you're saying, because I truly believe in freedom. And I tell people all the time, freedom ain't free, first of all. And secondly, it's ugly. You know what I mean? But the time is coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming. Maybe sooner than later, where people going to have to, they're going to get snatched up. They ain't going to care how smart you are. They ain't going to care if you can figure out a problem. They going to need boots on the ground. and you're going to find yourself in some faraway land, and you're going to have to do America's business. And if you don't, imagine a world without America. What would that world look like? And that's my final thought right there. What would the world look like? Because everybody trying to get to this country, as bad as we say it is over here, it ain't no line of people trying to get into China. I ain't heard nan person talking about they want to go to Palestine right now. You know what I mean? And you can look at what's going on in Ukraine with Russia. So that's just where it is right now, man. But I think America, I think we are victims of our own success. And it's been a long time since somebody punched us in the nose, and I think it's coming.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
DL, I want to speak to something that you said earlier, man. You said that America is fatter than ever. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. Well, here's my problem with a lot of that. A lot of that comes from us not being able to specialize in different things. All of us seem like we want to gravitate to what's hot at the moment. I remember in the 90s, what was hot was being a barber. So everybody cut hair, you know what I'm saying? And then after that, everybody wanted to install tent, and everybody wanted to install radio, and everybody wanted to install, barbecue grills or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We don't specialize in things that we need. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have nobody making soap. We didn't have nobody making clothes. We didn't have nobody making the stuff that we use on a regular basis. We bought that stuff out of house. And to speak to what information man said earlier, we have to learn how to specialize in other things. Everybody can't go into tech, but we can use some people who do things like plumbing or whatever. And what happens is it